The more money you make, the more you can give. In the book, The Practical Idealist, Changing the World and Getting Paid, the authors interview people in many fields who are working to transform society, but who still have to pay student loans and establish personal financial stability. And Americans are already extraordinary givers. The average American gives 3.2% of their income to charity annually. That works out to about $1,620 a year, or $135 a month. Daily, this breaks down to the cost of a cup of coffee and a scone that you'll be stopping off to get on your way to work, about $4.50 a day. You are going to be challenged in ways that young people haven't been challenged in a long time. But rather than seeing this as burdensome, on the contrary, seeing this as exciting and that you have a great opportunity to make a huge difference in this world. We are so much more aware of our interconnectedness, and by working holistically, we can create a sustainable and just world. Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." We can all have each other's back, so to speak, as we work together. Interconnectedness can seem at times like a new age buzzword, but let me tell you how it works in real life in real time. When my husband was growing up in Bedford-Stuyvesant neighborhood of Brooklyn, his parents took him to the Bushwick Salvation Army Community Center. He went there for after school and for summer programs. Bed-Stuy is a pretty rough neighborhood in Brooklyn. It's filled with gang violence, drug abuse, and his parents wanted him and his brothers, he's the oldest of 7, to have a safe haven from that harsh street environment. As an adult, he has remained committed to giving back to that center and the children who attend it now. A couple of years ago, we decided to build a state-of-the-art computer center and library at the center. This was after I took a tour of the center, and the director took me to a room and said, "This is our library and computer lab." And I said, "Where?" And they said, "Right here." And I said, "Where?" And they said, "Right here." And I said, "Well, how is it a library and computer lab when I don't see any books and there's no computers?" So we decided to change that. And during that time, we really got to know a lot of the children there. Around the same time, we decided to go to South Africa on vacation. And unlike most of my visits to the continent, this was not for work, but for pleasure. We went on safari and visited Cape Town, and even had the privilege to visit Mr. Mandela, or Madiba, as he's affectionately called. But it did not feel right not to incorporate service into the trip in some way. So during the last part of the vacation, UNICEF set up a visit to a shantytown in Johannesburg of about 250,000 people called Diepsloot, where poverty is crushing and the devastation from the AIDS epidemic is profound. 1 in 6 people in South Africa is living with HIV/AIDS. After visiting with several grannies who are raising their orphan grandchildren in tin shacks with no electricity or running water, and getting ready to leave, one grandmother stopped me and said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Excuse me?" She said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Excuse me?" She said, "I am so sick of people walking through here and staring at us and taking pictures and leaving. What are you going to do?" I said, "What do you want me to do?" She said, "We need to make money to send our grandchildren to school. There's no public education on the continent of Africa." This go-go called me to act. I told her, "I'll come back and I'll see what you need." She said, "Yeah, right." 3 months later, I went back to that exact same go-go, and I said, "I'm back. What do you want me to do?" I am now running income-generating programs in that very same area, Diepsloot, for that go-go and 22 more go-go's. We are taking care of over 100 orphans, and it's just what one person can do when they're called to act. And then I had an idea. What if I brought the youth that we worked with in Brooklyn to volunteer in South Africa for 4 main reasons? To introduce kids who have never left New York to travel. Travel allows you to dream, right? To introduce kids who are on the receiving end of aid to the giving end of service. To allow kids in the U.S. to understand the inherent blessings that they have once they realize what third world poverty is, and to create global citizens out of inner city youth concerned with their own communities and the worlds around them. And so Journey for Change, Empowering Youth Through Global Service was born. With all of this, I have come to realize that a life of service is one of the most extraordinary privileges we can know as human beings. To serve helps us to understand that we are all connected, that our community and our world is so much bigger than just our town, city, or home. Service inspires us to go outside of ourselves and to be much more aware of the needs of our fellow human beings and of our increasingly fragile planet. And let's face it, our country and our world needs us now. In his memoir, Senator Ted Kennedy reveals that of all of his work he did in the Senate, and of all of the things he tried to accomplish, were based on the verses of Matthew 25, which read in part, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, you invited me in. I needed clothes, you clothed me. I was sick, you looked after me. I was in prison, you came to visit me." The king will reply, "I tell you the truth. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did for me." These verses were his call to action, so to speak. Graduates, what will your call to action be? In 2009, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Nicholas Kristof and Cheryl Boudin published Half the Sky, a vivid account of the struggle to eradicate poverty, disease, and illiteracy in the third world by empowering women who are the backbone of their communities. In Africa, there is a saying that women hold up half the sky. My question to all of you, class of 2010, is will you let today be your call to action, and will you do your part to hold up the other half of the sky? Thank you, and congratulations to the class.